Hey everybody, this is Mr. Drizzle, and I have another refined power tutorial for you today. This one's going to be on toxic gas. And there's a few steps to it, but one of the new items that we're going to be introducing is going to be the toxic gas extractor. And I highly recommend that you guys don't mess with this because it requires a lot of copper. And when I say a lot of copper, I mean a lot of copper. If at all possible, avoid using this part of the mod. Right here, we have one of these gas columns. You know, the things that smell really bad that can kill you if you stand right next to them for too long. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put a cap on this. We're going to scroll all the way down to refined power, all the way down to the toxic gas extractor. We're going to rotate it so that it's facing towards us. I'm going to place it. It needs power, but it doesn't require that much power. It needs 40 megawatts of power. And if you see here, we got a whole bunch of them. I'm going to show you where I am on the map here. This is where I am on the map. Over here is the Dune Desert. Just north of us is the Spire Coast. Right here. Just below us is the Northern Forest. This is the Titan Forest. Swamp area is down in the corner. And right smack in the center is the Desert Canyons, where we are. And then if we open this up, it is already extracting gas. It's extracting the toxic gas at 12 cubic meters per minute. I'm going to go ahead and connect this pipe to the toxic gas extractor so that it joins the rest. And we have a lot of these columns. Let me go ahead and show you how many we have. And you'll notice that I don't have them all capped. I got enough just to make it a little worthwhile here. And we have all of these. So if you want to get into the toxic gas extractor business, this is the place to be. This whole area right here is the place to be. And we have a whole bunch of them, and they're all connected. Remember, they're only going to produce 12 cubic meters of gas per minute. So it's not a lot, and it takes quite a bit to fill up these MK1 pipelines. And then I went ahead and upgraded to MK2 pipeline, going this further over, just because. And then you look over here, we got some more, and I got some more. I even got more over here. I kept a lot of these, so I make good use of them. This is our production facility. What we're going to do is we're going to take the toxic gas that's being piped all the way up here. And because this is a gas, you do not need pumps. So you can see this is flowing really nicely, around 300-ish, give or take. But because it's a gas, you don't need any kind of pumps whatsoever to make this work. And we're going to convert the gas into methane gas. And it requires toxic gas, which what you just saw us cap, and then carbon mesh. And in order to get the carbon mesh, you can either use coal or reuse the CO2. Right here we have a big old glass fluid buffer of vodka. I mean water. And then we have the methane gas that's being produced by these refineries. And they're going to go into these solution heaters. And so the solution heaters heat up the water, it turns into steam, and the output of that is CO2. Right now we have 20 of these. They're all connected. It outputs a total of 10,000 megawatts of power. These are high voltage generators. Each one produces 500 megawatts of power. To kind of give you an idea, this is a high voltage generator. This is a Mark II turbine. This is a Mark II boiler with a solution heater. for this setup, we're producing 10,000 megawatts of power, and we're using 1,359 megawatts of power. You can use more or less depending if you're overclocking anything and whether or not you're using those multipliers. Now, I am using multipliers and I am using overclocking, but for the amount of power that we're using versus the production, it's pretty good trade-off. The CO2 that's being produced by the solution heater comes up and we're piping it down into these pipes right here. Now this looks kind of nice if you ask me. I like the way this turned out. And we've got power, and underneath these go to conversion, where we're converting CO2 to carbon dust. And right behind here, we have a Mark I limestone miner. We're combining the CO2 with the limestone, converting it into carbon dust. Over here, we have a Mark III miner on a pure node here. We're producing 480 copper ore a minute. And we here have this thing that's gonna go boom, bye-bye. Hate those things. That one had a family. Wow. Wow. We're taking these ingots here and we're turning them into wire. And I have every single one of these overclocked with a multiplier, and it's connected to a Mark VI belt. Okay. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7 of these things. And a Mark VI belt might seem a bit overkill, but it's not. But over here we got wire, and it is just being engulfed. So what do we have here? Well, these assemblers here are making carbon mesh. Carbon mesh requires 40 carbon dust a minute and 80 wire a minute to produce 20 carbon mesh. And that may seem like a lot, and that's because it is a lot. Because if you take 80 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This last one really isn't needed, but I'm doing it anyway, just because the numbers get a little screwy, like they're not exact. But you take 13 times 80, that gets you over 1,000 wire per minute that's required to make this work. And then if you look at the Mark VI, it handles 1,200, while the Mark V can only handle 780. Now I can make this so much easier by using a modular load balancer mod, but I don't want that to be confusing to people. So for illustrative purposes, we're just using this belt right here, okay? And this belt feeds all the wire. According to this, we're producing 1,048, 1,050, let's just say 1,050 wire per minute, and we're ejecting 10 of that, so 1,040. Yeah, exactly. So these actually total use 1,040. And this is producing 1,050 with an ejection of 10. So that's about right. The carbon mesh that's being produced by these two refineries is going to be 360. 180 times 2 is 360. Let's make sure that's right. Yep, so we got 360 right here. And then we're taking the coal and we are going to convert it using these constructors. I could just have one constructor, but for illustrative purposes, I'm using 2. And each one of these is producing 100. So between the two, we're adding an extra 200. So that's what, 560 per minute? Yep, exactly. So 560 per minute. So we got 100 and 300, and we're ejecting 40 out of that. So we really only need 520. So I could, you know, trim one of these down if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. And if you look, these are all running just fine. So at the end of this, we're producing 260 carbon mesh a minute. We only need 240, but the numbers up top aren't exactly perfect. It's weird. I'll show you. But we're producing 260. Now, as you can tell, that is an insane amount of copper just to make this work. Let's go and follow this all the way up to see where this leads. Alright, so we have 260 a minute, and we're using 240. Now the issue I was having is when we had 240 come from this side and 240 coming from this side, somehow these were using more than 240. I don't understand. Even though this is 60, this is 60, that's 120, this is 60, and this is 60 is also 120, which is 240 times, you know, 160, or 120 times 2 is 240. So the math says it should have worked, but it's weird. But once this thing gets full, I have an awesome sink to kind of catch any stragglers that might want to overload the system here.
Was that truly necessary?
So this is kind of an open loop system. Yes, it does loop, but it's far from being a closed loop because you need extra coal and you need a ton of copper just to make this work. And by the way, this is an auto smelter from the No Smelters mod. Plus you need a constant flow of toxic gas. So although this is kind of a loop, it's not a closed loop at all, and it requires a lot of outside input. So if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, comment if you have any questions. I'm hoping this covers everything for this. Right now is not a good time to build this, not until the ratios are fixed and changed, because requiring a total of 480 copper ore a minute is insane. Alright y'all, see you in the next one.